Welcome to Last First Date Radio, featuring interviews with experts in dating, relating, and mating in midlife. And now, here's your host, Sandy Weiner.
This is episode number 440 with Rosemary Mupambwa, How to Get Your Dating Groove Back. Hi, everybody. I'm Sandy Weiner. Welcome back to Last First Date Radio, where we believe that a woman of value naturally attracts the respect and rewards she deserves in life and love. And I wrote a book about becoming a woman of value, how to thrive in life and love. It's filled with 30 tips and exercises to help you step more fully into your value. And it includes many of the interviews that I've done for Last First Date Radio. There are exercises that will help you to step into your value and build your core confidence. And you can purchase it on Amazon for Kindle or paperback. And every week I share a tip from the book, and this week's tip is be a lifetime learner. It's so important to continue to grow and learn. I know so many people think like I'm done. I've done all my personal growth and I'm just done. And I believe you're not done till you got a tag on your toe. So if you have a course you want to take or a language you want to learn or something that you want to do, please don't put it off. There is so much out there to learn in this world. And so you become more interesting, which helps you in your dating life. And you're interested and interesting. And to me, there's nothing better than that. So before I bring Rosemary on, I want to invite you to join my Facebook group. It's called Your Last First Date. And it's a place for positive support for women over 40. Whether you're dating and struggling or you're in a relationship and you'd like to get even more positive support, come and join us. We're monitored. So I have like 7 amazing monitors who are in every single day of the week, making sure that posts stay on target. We are so different from most groups for single women that everybody just posts whatever they want, and it's so much negativity. And so I have curated a group with incredible guidelines that help you to become not only better at dating, but a better person. So join us at Your Last First Date. And now I am bringing you my guest, Rosemary. She is an author and a speaker. She's a relationship coach and a retreat leader. And she's also a widow who got tired of crying herself to sleep every night because she was so lonely. And now, as a relationship coach, she is on a mission to help women heal from grief and trauma from either being a widow or divorced or having heartbreak. And she helps women get back into the dating scene with a bang. She helps them date smarter and find love again. Welcome to the show, Rosemary.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So let's talk about your new book, Exhume or Heal, A Widow's Memoir, Getting Her Groove Back. What prompted you to write this book?
What prompted me to write my book is after I lost my husband, I immigrated to Canada in North America from my home country in Africa. 3 years after my husband passed away, my dad passed away. So that really made me lose my grounding. I felt I had nobody else to run to, nobody else to protect me, because they had actually moved in with me to help me look after the children. When I came to North America, I still continued to lose a lot of family members. And last year, but 2019, when I decided to write my book, my youngest brother had a heart attack and he dropped dead. And that was like the last string for me, because I felt like, I was dealing with so much grief, so much loss, and it was really turning into baggage. And I didn't even realize that I had so much attachment to my grief, and it was affecting my dating life. It was even affecting my life with my children. That's when I decided to write my book. But before I decided to write my book, I actually attended a women's retreat. And this is why I also run retreats. I went for a women's retreat, and they put us in groups, widows and those that were divorced. the people that are still married, that want to learn about parental care and stuff like that. And so in the group with the widows and those that are divorced, that's when I came to the realization that I do have a problem that I need to take care of. And this grief is really blinding me to see what's outside my window. I felt like, after you've lost your husband, it's really hard to fall in love again. And yes, I tried to find love. I had 2 seriously broken relationships. And they really broke my heart into a million pieces. And I decided I'll never fall in love again. What's the point? Every time I try to have a boyfriend, I end up getting these terrible heartbreaks. But what I didn't realize was the energy that I was exuding to the world is what was attracting those broken men to me, because I was trying to be their social worker. I felt I could change them. But what I realized afterwards is like, you can never change a man. A man will change when he is in love. And a man will change for a woman that he loves. But a woman can never change a man. And I also realized that until you realize that you have a wound that needs to be taken care of properly, until you realize that you continue putting bandages on your wound without removing the pus from your wound, without removing the gunk, I call it gunk now, from the wound, we continue covering it up, wearing masks, leaving the house with a big, huge smile. And then when you come back home, it's like you come back to your wounds again. And as much as women, we like to be strong and powerful, we still need to find our grounding. We still need to take care of our wounds, because those wounds will continue to affect everybody around us, including our relationships. I'm not surprised that a lot of people that are divorced or widowed, they kind of hesitate to go back into the dating scene. It's because of what has happened to them before. But guess what? Healing is possible, but healing is also a choice. It's up to you to heal, but once you heal, you can go back into the dating scene with a bang.
So true. And I think so many people are afraid to even look at their wounds. And what they don't realize is how empowering it is to know that you can create change, which is so much better than being stuck. And it sounds like your personality was the fixer, the one, the therapizer, the one who wanted to fix everybody. And I think, when you have a healing personality, it's very common to attract people who want to be fixed. And, and I remember women coming to me when I first started working in this industry who would say, I attract men who want a mommy. I attract men who, they're looking to me to do everything for them. And it's so annoying. I don't want to do everything for them. And I said, well, you got to stop being their mommy. You got to stop fixing them, right? So when we have that realization, we heal, and then we attract a different energy and a different type of person, right?
Yes.
So how did you heal?
The first thing I did was I decided to write a book, because I just had so much that was in my head and I needed to put it somewhere. So that's when I decided to write my book. And inside my book, I share my journey as a widow, the downfalls that I went through. But I also share the healing therapies that you can do to heal your heart and to heal your grief. And then I also share the tips of how to date smart, and also the type of men that you will meet. Because when you've been out of the dating scene for a while, you are like a deer in red lights. You don't know where to go. And the dating game, is changing every day. When I got married back a long time ago, I don't even want to say how long ago, over 30 30 years ago, I met my husband in a grocery store, right? Which was very common. Or a guy would whistle at you. But now living here in the Western world, guys here, they don't whistle at ladies. And even in the grocery stores, yes, they might talk to you, but it's you, the lady, that has to crack the conversation to the guy. Because most of the men here, they are kind of hesitant because they also want to see if the woman is interested. You know, they are also afraid of rejection. And rejection for men is worse than for us women because men have ego, you know, and it's kind of like you have to turn the page from the page of yesterday to the new page of the new dating game. The things that we used to do back then, we can't do it anymore. And now there is online dating. Before, you could not talk about online dating, you know, because people would think, why are you going online to look for strangers? You know, but, you know, what we forget is when you meet a new guy, he's still a stranger to you. So now online dating is the thing, because with what's going on right now with the pandemic and stuff like that, you know, people cannot just approach you and start talking to you. But online is now the thing because you can actually sit in the comfort of your home and go through profiles at your own pace. And also women have now a chance to choose the type of men that you want to go out with, which is a completely new thing. Before, us women, we would wait for men to choose us. But guess what? The dating game has changed. We have the power, ladies. Yeah, we now have the power. You know, we have to choose who you want to go out with. And what women need to remember is we, the women, we are the prize in the dating game because these men are also looking for us. And although we are also looking for them, a man would also want to see what we are going to put on the table. But even then, it's up to you, ladies, to choose, is this man good or appropriate or compatible with you? You know, as women, we need to move away from the desperate mode of looking for a relationship. We have to be empowered enough to be able to have that power to choose who you want. You have to make sure that this man makes you feel the way you want to feel, not the way he wants you to feel, right? It's what this guy can do for you, not what you can do for him, which is a completely new thing now. Before, we would do everything to keep a guy, but that's a disaster. That's a recipe for disaster. Now you have to see what a guy can do for you, although you also have to do your part. But most of it now, ladies, we are empowered. We have to see what a guy can do for you. Is he compatible with you? You know, how much do you need to compromise for him to fit into your life? Because a guy has to come and fit into your life, not you fit into his life. No. If you continue putting so much effort in trying to fit into a guy's life, then that's not a good relationship for you.
Yeah, you said a lot there. So I think,
Sorry,
you know,
it's coming and coming.
Yeah. No, it's all good stuff. And it's so true. And I think that especially in our generation where, you know, we dated very differently back in our 20s and our teens. And I came across some of my old diaries and I was looking at the kinds of dates I had in my 20s. And men were taking me out to fancy restaurants and to going to plays, and every single man took me to a nice place to eat. Now you meet a guy, if you're lucky, he pays for your coffee. You know, it's like, you know, and it's just totally changed. And women are paying for themselves, and it's becoming like a very confusing scene. And the other part about the power, I think, is just what's fascinating about it is when I started dating after my divorce, I thought men held all the power. And I would talk to men and they would say, well, you women hold all the power. So I think we both think we each hold all the power and we give up our power. And
Yeah.
we're not really choosing, and we're waiting passively to be chosen. And I think it's just an important thing to own your power, own your confidence in who
Yes.
you are, that you have choices, and you can't force somebody to be something they're not, like we talked about the fixing before.
Yeah.
So, choose, does this feel good? And you mentioned the feelings too, and I want to highlight that, because if it doesn't feel good, get out. It doesn't matter how many lovely things you can check off on the checklist, because it doesn't matter what kind of job the person has or how good looking they are. If it doesn't feel good, it's not good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the healing modalities that you share in the book. If you can share one to help people get to that state of mind, because it does take time. I mean, you were devastated and you had a lot of loss and you pulled yourself up, but there was a healing that took place. So for people who feel helpless or heartbroken, what's one good exercise they can start with?
The first exercise that I usually help my clients with is look at your life, yourself, from inside out. Since your loss, what has changed in your life? Obviously, your identity will change, because if you were married before, you lost your husband, or you were married before and you are divorced. Now you are thrown into this single-dom arena, right? Without your consent. Sometimes, a guy, your husband will just come and throw the divorce papers on the table and tells you, I'm out, and you are not ready for that. The first thing that you need to do is look at your life from inside out. How has that affected you? Because this is the biggest point that I realized that I missed. Because when I lost my husband, I didn't realize how much trauma that part created in my life. Because just that transition from being a married woman, now you are a single parent, now you are a single woman, and you are now wearing two hats. You are both a dad and a mom. There's a lot that comes with being a widow and being a divorcee. And even when you're heartbroken, you need to give yourself time to grieve that relationship that is no longer there. Because as women, we are told, hush, don't cry that much. Stop grieving like that. What do you think people are going to say? You need to pull your socks up, and you need to be tough for your kids. But give yourself time to grieve that relationship. Go through the mourning process. You can cry, you can scream, and that is what I call expressive therapy, because you need to take that pain out. Most of us, we keep it in, and then you turn yourself into a superwoman. But guess what? Underneath your heart, there is worms and wounds and gunk that's there. And one day it's going to erupt like a volcano in front of a date, a potential date that is supposed to marry you. And then you just snap like that. And then you think, what happened to me? What happened to you? It's all the pain that we're, harboring in your heart. Give yourself time to heal. Give yourself time to mourn. Take a journal. Write down what happened to you. Do a personal inventory. Right through, after my husband died, how did it affect you? How did it affect your personality, your emotions, even at work? What changed? What has changed? And from there, you'll be able to see where you need to start healing. Because sometimes just tell people, okay, you need to heal, but where do you start? So there's a lot that goes into healing, but that's the first one. Then you also need to go through the relationship itself. that you have lost, because when you are married before, you used to have friends, right? But now when you are divorced and you are widowed and you're heartbroken, those friends that were both your husband or your partner's friends, they will, go the opposite direction. So they can either go with your ex-husband or your ex-boyfriend or with your ex-in-laws, and you are left alone. So you also need to look at that. And that's also another part that we ignore. And then you think, why are people ignoring me? They are ignoring you because they don't know what to say to you. If a person hasn't walked the same road that you have walked, most of the people, they don't know what to say to you. Like, for example, when my husband passed away, I was really annoyed when people would come to pay their condolences, and then they would ask me, so what are you going to do? Are you going to remarry? Oh, you're so young. It's so sad that you are so pretty and you have no husband anymore. So are you going to remarry? How long are you going to take until before you start dating? I'm like, I just buried my husband last month, and now you're asking me when I'm going to remarry. I'm not even there yet, and people have all these expectations for you. And so those are the things that you need to take inventory of. How has your life changed? Yeah. And stop blaming everybody for your pain, which is what I was doing. And stop seeking revenge, because I wanted to revenge because a lot of people betrayed me, Sandy. And I wanted revenge so bad. But guess what? I was not given the platform to revenge. And this is what happens to a lot of people. You think, okay, I'm going to get them, but you won't get them. They will still continue to get you.
If you let them, right?
Yeah, if you let them. Yeah. If you let them.
Yeah. And people mean well. I've had loss and I've had divorce, and I've had a lot of situations where people said things that were annoying, silly, and infuriating. And I started to educate people. If somebody came up to me and said something like, "I'm so sorry that you're divorced," I would say, "You know what? I'm happy that I'm divorced. It's not easy, but I'm happy to be divorced. And can I make a suggestion that in the future, you ask somebody how they feel instead of saying, I'm sorry."
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Check in with people, and people don't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that, but when you're on the other side and the receiving end, or when I was going through the divorce, I had people come up to me and say, you shouldn't get divorced because I don't really like my husband, but I live with him anyway. So you should just just live separate lives. It's fine. And I'm like, I'm not you. So don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And right. So people project and they're just being human. They don't know better.
Yeah.
And so I'm an educator. I like to tell people, hey, can I share with you what would work better for me?
Yeah.
And I actually had somebody come up to me a couple of years later and say, I really appreciate that you told me what to say, because I don't tell people I'm sorry anymore when they tell me they're divorced. I ask them how they are, and they're shocked and they appreciate it. Yeah. So, and with loss too, I had a son who died, and people would come up to me and say the stupidest things. Even someone at his funeral said, something that was just so shocking to me. One of the people who was officiating at the funeral said that we were incredible parents because we didn't put our child into an institution when he was born with birth defects. And it was like, what? This is what you say at the funeral? Like, you didn't even know this kid, did not belong in an institution. And it was just like, anyway, people are people.
Wow. Yeah, people.
And you got to let go. You got to let go of all the bad and the missteps and because it holds you back. It hurts you, right?
It does, yeah. And you got to learn to forgive as well.
Yeah. Forgiveness is so important. So so a lot of people misunderstand forgiveness. They think it means I'm saying it's okay that you did this. Like if somebody hurt you and I forgive you, then I'm saying it's okay that you hurt me. How do you look at forgiveness?
Yeah, I look at forgiveness as taking my power back, because, I always look back at my story and my journey, that I was holding on to so much unforgiveness. And it's the unforgiveness that was causing me so much emotional pain and physical pain, to a point where my blood pressure was skyrocketing most of the times. I had to go onto double medication. And my doctor one day even said, you are going to have a stroke. Are you aware of that? But it was all because I was so hurt, to a point where I wanted revenge so bad. And then I came to the realization at that retreat I was talking about, that, you know what, if I don't forgive, this is going to kill me, not them. So that's when I decided, I need to let go. And it will give you so much peace. And it's like a million tons of bricks has been lifted off your shoulders, because it means what they did to you, or what they still continue to do to you, does not affect you and control your happiness anymore. So this is the biggest thing that I learned. And the day I learned that, I thought, why didn't I think about forgiving these people years back? I've been carrying all this unforgiveness for all these years. For what? So forgiveness is about taking your power back from those people that hurt you, and to show them that, what you did is not affecting me anymore. But it doesn't mean that what you did is okay. What you did was not okay, but it's not affecting me anymore.
Yeah,
And next time I will not give you a chance to hurt me again.
Right. So you learn from it. It happens for you, not to you. And and it's empowering to let go, because and also, the piece that you talk about, I think, is so important. When you meet someone, let's say you're dating someone who's still holding on to all that resentment and anger, it's ugly. It's like a burden that you feel. And I remember, because I hadn't yet healed when I first started dating after my divorce, I would attract a lot of these guys who would tell me how horrible their ex-wife was. She took all his money and she did this to him, and now I'm broke. And I'm like, okay, bye-bye. I won't stay on the phone for 10 minutes with people like this. But back then I just would listen for like an hour and a half to somebody being a victim. No more. It's draining. It is unattractive, and it hurts you. But again, it's not our job to fix. It's their job to go heal, and it's our job to go find somebody who's better fit.
It was a better fit for us.
Yes. Yeah. So what did you do before you were a relationship coach?
Back in Zimbabwe, I was a college lecturer. And then when I came to North America, I have a social work and a sociology background. So I was working in the mental health field for the longest while. And then I was also a domestic violence counselor for almost 13 years when I came to North America. So that's my specialty, really, working with domestic violence women, and also in the mental health field.
Wow.
Yeah.
Somebody just reached out for me to add a link to an article I wrote about domestic violence on my blog, because, having gone through some emotional abuse, I don't know what it's like to be actually, hit and hurt and get to the brink of death often, and sometimes die. And especially during COVID, we've had so many people who were thrown into very unsafe environments. And I'm sure you heard all about it and help people. And I really admire that you do that work. It's very important work. And so, like, how did you segue from that to becoming a relationship coach?
I decided to become a relationship coach after I went through lots of personal development. After my 2 failed relationships, I thought I am done until I know why I cannot find the man that I am compatible with. So I did a lot of research to finding why, I was attracting these, emotionally unavailable men, people that needed a nurse, a social worker, instead of, a partner. And I also found out that, most of these men and us women, when you are hurt, you bleed on other people. So I was hurt and I was bleeding on everyone. And that's why I was attracting the wrong men into my life. So after that, I decided, you know what? Let me get my certification in place and then I can start helping myself first and then I'll help other people. And that's when I decided, you know what? I need to start helping other women. And my friends would come and look for advice, even my nieces. They would call me, Auntie, what do you think I should do? This guy is doing this to me. And, I started giving free advice. But then, after a while, you think, you know what? I am giving so much free stuff, but I need to get something out of it. So that's when I decided to get registered. And now I'm doing it.
Wonderful. That's a good story. So what are your final words of advice for a woman who wants to go on her last first date, but she's a little afraid to get out there again?
It's never too late to fall in love. I was talking to one of my clients last week. She's 58. And she's like, Rose, do you think I'm too old to date? And I told her, I'm almost 60 and I have a boyfriend. So why don't you start dating again? So there's no age limit to date. And love is out there for us women to enjoy. We were made to have somebody with us. Once you go out of love, you can always come back and find love. There's no limit to that, but it's up to you. How do you do it? You have to do it the right way, because if you continue meeting the wrong man, it means there's something wrong that you are doing. So if you have been doing the same thing over 20 years and expecting to get Mr. Right, walking into the house wearing matching socks, a nice haircut, no. You have to take a step back, revisit how you are doing it, get educated about it. A lot of women, they still think, well, why should I get a relationship coach? You should get a relationship coach because it's like you're walking in the dark and expecting to find your Mr. Right in the dark. You need directions, and you get directions from relationship coaches, people like Sandy, people like me that have been there. It's one thing to be a relationship coach when you haven't walked the walk. You and I have been there. You have been divorced, I've been widowed. I've gone through broken relationships, So we have the experience to help other women and show them where to go, And don't waste your time just thinking that, a guy will just fall from the sky for you. No, you have to change your game, ladies. We have to change our game and get the right things to do so that we know what to do and where to find these good men. Because there's lots of men out there that are waiting for us, ladies.
I love it. They show up with matching socks.
yeah, they show up with matching socks and, six packs and the muscles and everything with a nice car outside. And you think, oh my goodness, this is Mr. Right. Okay. Spend the 15 minutes with him, you feel like you just need to run outside and never come back again, yeah. Right. So most of the women are also going into dating for the wrong reasons, Why do you want to go back into the dating scene? And
Right.
what kind of men are you looking for?
Yeah. I'm starting, I teach a course on online dating, and I'm starting the 5th round of dating during the pandemic. This is the 5th time I'm teaching, and we're starting tonight. And we start with the must-have list and the deal breakers, because most people completely get that wrong.
Yeah.
You know, they must have all these things that don't matter. And really, we start with feelings. How do you want to feel? And according to how you want to feel, who does he have to be? And then we create the list, you know, based on that. But there's so much that we don't know because nobody ever taught us. Nobody ever showed us that there's actually a system for working on your wounds, for letting go of anger, for finding out why you repeat patterns, and how to create healthier dating and healthier relationships.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Rosemary, and tell people how they can find you.
Okay, you can find me on my website. My website is roseslifecoaching.com. And on the website, there's also my book, or you can go to my business Facebook, and it's Rose's Life Coach.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom today, Rosemary.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sandy, for having me.
My pleasure. And for everybody who's listening, thank you. And please rate and review our show wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps us grow even larger. And we hope you go on your last first date very soon.